Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, it's going to take us to around the 11th, 12th of September. We'll have a look at CFSV2 for the next month. That takes us pretty much to the end of September. And we'll begin with the tropical Atlantic, and of course, the devastating Hurricane Dorian, which reached Category 5 status yesterday, with gusts of wind, sustained winds of 180 miles an hour, gusts going over 200 miles an hour. I think 220 miles per hour gusts were possible with this yesterday. So devastating storm in the Bahamas. It's menacing the Florida coast as well, and we'll see the very latest in a moment. First video up today was having a look at the fourth test of the Ashes. That's starting Wednesday, so have a look at that, see what's going on there. We released the first winter update yesterday, and it's gone down pretty well. We're approaching 3,000 video views for that video at the moment, so not bad in 24 hours. It seems to have gone down quite well. We also did a little live stream yesterday afternoon. A few people asked me whether that's going to be a regular thing. The plan is to do a live stream every Sunday at 5 o'clock, going over the winter update that we've released earlier on in the day. So that's what I said I'm going to do. That's the plan. We had a few technical issues yesterday at the start of the stream, so if you want to have a replay and play it back, then the sort of discussion begins around 4 minutes in. The first 4 minutes we had a few problems with the mic and setting it all up, but we got there in the end, and although I was thrown a bit off kilter by the problems we had at the start, I think got into my stride with it. And yes, so we've said that we will be having a live stream at 5 o'clock every Sunday between now and the end of November to coincide with the winter update. That is certainly the plan. Where I'm going to find the time to do that, I don't know, because I'm always very busy on a Sunday anyway, but that's what I said I'll do, and that's what we'll do. Right, so let's get on with today's video though. So it's all happening in the tropics. Things have really started developing there over the past few days. We've got 4 areas of interest. We've got 2 yellow X's just here. We've got a red X over there, and we've also got, of course, the devastating Hurricane Dorian. So let's deal with them one by one. We'll start with these yellow X's. So we'll begin here. This is disturbance 2, with a 30% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. They're saying at National Hurricane Center, a broad area of low pressure located over the south-central Gulf of Mexico continues to produce widespread showers, cloudiness, and disorganized showers and thunderstorms. And gradual development of this system is possible during the next few days, while the low moves slowly westward across the south central and southwestern Gulf of Mexico towards the coast of Mexico. It's got a 48, in the next 48 hours, it's got a 30% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone. In the next 5 days, it has a 50% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone. Then we have this one just here. That one is disturbance 3. And it's got a 30% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone in the next 48 hours. And a 50% chance of doing so in the next 5 days. A trough of low pressure is located 700 miles south-southwest of Bermuda. Shower and thunderstorm activity has increased since yesterday and has also become better organised this morning. Gradual development of this system is possible during the next few days, while the disturbance moves slowly northward to north-northwestward. Interest in and around Bermuda should monitor the progress of this disturbance. Then we've got the red X over here towards Africa. This is disturbance 1, and it now has an 80% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone in the next 2 days and also in the next 5 days. So it looks very likely that this will become our next named tropical storm. They're saying with this one, recent satellite-derived surface wind data indicate that the low-pressure system located about 150 miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands has become better defined. Shower and thunderstorm activity is beginning to show signs of organisation, and environmental conditions appear conducive for a tropical tropical depression to form during the next day or so, while the system moves generally northwestward across the eastern tropical Atlantic. Locally heavy rainfall is possible over Cabo Verde Islands through Tuesday. Say 80% chance that this is going to become a tropical storm, so I think we need to keep a very close eye on that. It is likely that this will be our next named storm. And then, of course, we've got Dorian just here in the Bahamas, and we know what's been going on there. So at the moment, Dorian is giving sustained winds of 165 miles an hour. That has come down a little bit from yesterday, but still, of course, very, very devastating winds. So if you've got sustained winds of 165 miles an hour, you can assume the gusts are still going probably over 180. Central pressure is 916 millibars, and it's moving so slowly as well, this. The movement is westwards at 1 mile per hour, so it's basically stationary, really. It is moving ever so slightly, but it's more or less stationary, just dumping loads and loads of torrential rain and violent winds over that part of Bermuda. We can actually have a look at it on the radar picture. This is Gav's weather. This is our radar. Of course, pretty wet day up in the north of the country today, but you can actually move this image around. So if I'm using a mouse for this, but you can do it on your tablet or mobile with your finger, and on your laptop with your finger pad. So left click and just start to drag the map in that direction. So we're moving across the Atlantic Ocean. That, of course, is the Atlantic Ocean. Eventually, we're going to find some land. We will get there in the end. There we go. We've found Newfoundland. So if we start to move in that direction, we will get to the east coast of America. There is the eastern seaboard, New York just there, of course. Start moving it downwards, down that east coast, and there is, in fact, Hurricane Dorian hitting Bermuda as we speak. And we can zoom in, get a close look at Dorian. That, of course, is the coast of Florida. So already a few sort of bands of rain are beginning to move onto that east coast of Florida. If we zoom in a little bit, we can get a better look at Hurricane Dorian. So there she is. Extremely well-defined eye, of course, with this storm, and you can just see how severe the rainfall is there with Dorian wrapped around the eye of that hurricane. We've got just huge, copious amounts of rain falling. So yeah, that is Hurricane Dorian in all of her glory on the radar picture at Gav's Weather Vids. And this is the track of Dorian over the next few days from the National Hurricane Centre at the moment. In that position, going to get to the Florida coast. How far inland this storm is going, there's still a bit of uncertainty about that. It looks like it's going to probably run up the east coast of Florida and then moving to the southeastern coast of America, so kind of like South Carolina, that area, and then push up the eastern seaboard. So still as a hurricane as it gets up towards these more northern states. So that could bring some impacts on the eastern seaboard later in the week. And by Saturday, around there, so heading up towards the far north of, far northeast, I should say, of the United States. Still even then as a hurricane, but presumably quite quickly after that it would downgrade to a post-tropical and then become an area of low pressure. But this east coast of America has to watch out later in the week. And this is a discussion for Hurricane Dorian, so we can't go through all of the different points. There's loads and loads to read, but key messages are: 1, a prolonged period of catastrophic wind and storm surge will continue to affect Grand Bahama Island through today and tonight. Everyone there should remain in shelter and not venture into the eye of the hurricane. 2 life-threatening storm surges and dangerous hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the Florida East Coast through midweek, and storm surge and hurricane warnings are in effect. Only a slight deviation to the left of the official forecast would bring the cone of Dorian near or over the Florida East Coast. Residents should listen to advice given by local emergency officials. I think there's still a little bit of uncertainty about how far into the coast of Florida this storm is getting. Point number 3 is that there is an increasing likelihood of strong winds and dangerous storm surge along the coast of Georgia, South Carolina and North Carolina later this week. Residents in these areas should continue to monitor the progress of Dorian and listen to advice given by local emergency officials. And then finally, point number 4, heavy rains capable of producing life-threatening flash floods are expected over northern portions of the Bahamas and coastal sections of the southeast and lower mid-Atlantic regions of the United States into Friday. So it's going to push up the east coast of America during the course of this week, bringing more devastating weather. These are our maximum winds forecast at the moment, giving maximum winds of 165 miles an hour. 12 hours that goes down to 160 miles an hour. In 24 hours 150 miles an hour. These are still extremely catastrophic winds. 36 hours it's 140 miles per hour. In 2 days, it's down to 125 miles an hour, but it's still very severe. 72 hours, 115 miles an hour. 96 hours, 100 miles an hour. And by 120 hours, it's down to 85 miles per hour. That is getting it back down towards Category 1 by then. And soon after that, it probably goes post-tropical. But these are extremely severe and catastrophic winds that we have here. And anybody in the path of this hurricane needs to be extremely careful, take all of the advice and precautions that they need to stay safe. Right, coming back close to home is how the Central England temperature has come out for August. We have that in now. So we actually came out at 17.1, an anomaly of 1.3 degrees above average as expected. That means that July at 17.5 was the hottest month of the summer. Both months, July and August, coming out somewhere close to around 1.5 degrees above 61 to 1990 average. That's the warmest August since 2004. We said in the summer forecast, we thought we'd like to have the hottest August since 2003. Didn't quite pull that off, but we have had the hottest August since 2004. So it has been a very warm month, but not quite reaching the level that we expected with the summer forecast. We will verify the summer forecast later in the week when we get all of the data in at UKMX. September, provisional for the Thursday of the month. That's off to a cool start at 13.4. That's an anomaly of 1.6 degrees below average. So it has been it was a pretty chilly opening day to September. Interestingly, that sort of temperature, 13.4, the September as a whole is about average. But remember, September is a cooling month. So it's a month that's going to cool down due to the fact that we're going from summer into autumn. So an anomaly of 1.6 degrees at the start of the month, if we was to sustain that to the end of the month, then we would be coming in kind of very low 12s, actually. That would be a really, really cool month, but we probably won't sustain that anomaly for the whole month. These are 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts from the Penn State University for next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. GFS, which we'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars is an area in the actual high pressure, low pressure, been moved around by the jet stream. Blue extrapolates low pressure, orange and red to high pressure. So these are taking us into the second week of September with below average heights on the ECMWF to the northwest of us, above average heights to to the west-southwest of us. The black lines are is indicating the jet stream coming across the Atlantic. So it looks as though we're going to be having a bit of a north-south split. Driest conditions with that will be in the south-southwest. Most unsettled conditions will be in the north-northwest. It's very westerly, so it's not going to be overly warm. Westerlies in September are not going to be particularly warm. So just rather unsettled, rather mixed, rather changeable in the north, driest, but not completely dry probably in the south, and rather cool temperatures. GFS actually has a weaker ridge, so this will be more unsettled really, with below average heights to the north-northwest. The ridge is further away from us in the middle of the Atlantic, and so again have jet stream coming across the Atlantic like that. So more unsettled scenario, and the below average heights, of course, that we have here to our northwest in the 7 to 10 day time frame will be containing the remains, or probably will be containing the remains of Hurricane Dorian, of course. These are the GFS ensembles, or this is the GFS ensembles for the next 2 weeks. Looking at London today, red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. So starting off quite cool today. Again, it's pretty chilly out there. Temperature's going to tick up a bit tomorrow. We'll feel quite warm in the southeast tomorrow. And then another slide in the temperature for the middle and the second half of the week, going pretty cool. And then it looks like we keep the temperatures fairly cool, really, even going into the second week of September. We get into the middle of the month now with the GFS ensemble, so there's no sign of anything particularly warm coming up. Though there are a few warmer outlier members, these ones just here, but they're not particularly well supported. It looks like it's a relatively cool first half to September. Precipitation wise, quite a lot of dry weather in the next few days, but we do have some rain coming up there around the middle part of the week. That's Tuesday to Wednesday, when quite an active cold front will push southeastwards. And then after that, so gradually getting a little bit more unsettled over the weekend into next week, perhaps. So from around the 9th to 11th of September next week, we could have 2 or 3 days of quite unsettled conditions. Maybe a drying trend then as we move out towards the middle part of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 2nd to 10th of September, rather below average. It looks like we're going to keep things pretty cool in weekend. Most parts of northern and western Europe are also coming out quite cool. You'll notice the warmth that is in the east and the southeast of Europe in week ahead. Precipitation anomalies, so the southeast a bit drier than average. Further north and northwest, it does look a little bit more unsettled there, a little bit wetter than average, particularly for western parts of Scotland. That's how the GFS is looking on Thursday. So we bring down a cool and showery northwesterly wind on Thursday, and then into Friday we have this trough system moving in off the Atlantic. That could bring some more persistent spells of rain on Friday. A bit drier through the weekend. Saturday, Sunday has a bit of a weather window with this ridge of high pressure, although low pressure is developing out to the west. If we go back, there is Hurricane Dorian there on Saturday, just appearing on the extreme left of the chart as you're looking at it. And then that's going to be the position of, by then, post-tropical storm or post-Hurricane Dorian, just there, moving in towards the North Atlantic. Now, beyond that, into next week, we see this area of low pressure contains the remains of Dorian moving out into the North Atlantic. And so as we go to Tuesday, we bring low pressure then containing the remains of Dorian into the northwest of Scotland. Cloud and outbreaks of rain heading in from the Atlantic. How unsettled it gets through the course of next week is a bit uncertain, but it does look as though, particularly for northern parts of the country, it could turn quite unsettled with spells of rain. Driest conditions would be in the south. That's how we look at day 10. So rather unsettled, really. We're in a showery west or northwesterly wind. This is the low pressure that contains the remains of Hurricane Dorian just here. And it's the main driver for the North Atlantic by the time we get through to day 10. So it looks showery. Winds are still in from the west or northwest, as we saw on the 500 millibar high W flow chart. So rather cool, rather showery conditions at day 10. And then into more extended range, it looks pretty unsettled, really. The Atlantic is quite buoyant with these areas of low pressure. So as we move into the middle part of the month, there's no sign of any particular ridge of high pressure. We do try to build some ridges into the south, but they never really have much influence. It's these areas of low pressure out to the north and west of us that seems to continue to be the main driver of the weather up as far as we can go to Wednesday the 18th of September, looking unsettled with showers or longer spells of rain, particularly for the north and west, and also quite windy too. GM for Thursday, we're in that showery northwesterly wind, will be quite cool as well. Friday into Saturday could bring a more persistent area of rain across the country with this area of low pressure moving down the eastern side. Then we go through to Sunday and into the early part of next week, trying to build up a little bit of ridging but still looking quite unsettled. That's the remains of Dorian just there to the south of Greenland on Tuesday, and we have a little bit more influence from the from high pressure with the GM actually with this particular run. So this is a drier solution for next week, not particularly warm, but it is drier for next week with the GM. Although by day 10, which is Thursday the 12th of September, a weather system is bringing cloud outbreaks of rain and returning us to pretty cool west or northwest winds with showers. And then the ECMWF looks like that, showery and cool on Thursday with those northwesterly winds. This low pressure just here could bring a more general area of rain on Friday. And then we go through to the weekend and we start to build up some high pressure from the southwest, although it still looks, even then, over the weekend, a little bit showery for the ECM. There is Hurricane Dorian just there on the far left of the chart as you are looking at it, moving in towards the North Atlantic. And then through next week, the low pressure containing the remains of Dorian heads up to Iceland. So we bring a weather system across the country. Again, this might not be overly wet down in the south, but in the north, it does look very unsettled. And we get to day 10, that's how we're looking in a cool and showery northwesterly wind. It looks like the first half of September is going to be cool, and certainly for northern areas, quite unsettled. I don't think it's going to be particularly wet down in the south, but there will be some rain at times. These are the scenarios got on the table from the ECM ensembles today at day 10 by the Icelandic Met Office. This is for the 12th of September. Have 20 members of the ECM ensembles, including the ECM control room with low pressure to the north at day 10 and high pressure is to the south. They're bringing in these westerly winds. Most unsettled conditions in the north, driest conditions in the south, generally quite cool. Have 14 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland, a ridge building through the UK up to northern Europe. The jet stream is moved northwards as well. That's a drier solution, of course, for the 12th of September. 11, including the ECM operational run, looking unsettled, above average heights to the southwest, below average heights just to the north, bringing quite strong westerly flow. And then these 6 here are perhaps the most unsettled of all. They have low pressure just over to the east of the country, bringing in a cool northwesterly wind as well. They're the coolest and most unsettled option. 2 weeks' time, which gets us into the second half of September. This gets us up to the 17th of September. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure just to our west. They're bringing west-southwest winds and look unsettled and quite cool. 14 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to our north, high pressure over to the south. They're bringing westerlies. Driest conditions, obviously, with that is to the south of the country. 11 with a deep trough of low pressure over top of the country. Very unsettled and autumnal with those. And then 8, it's a minority option. 8 have high pressure up over Scandinavia, and they're bringing in easterly winds, the driest and potentially the warmest option. Although by the second half of September, easterly winds are not guaranteed to be particularly warm. Finally, the CFS-V2, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 22nd of, from the 2nd to the 8th of September. And we see that we've got, in week ahead, above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic and going north, below average heights to our east. So it looks rather showery and cool. We're bringing in the wind from a north to northwesterly direction. Week 2 is the 9th to the 15th of September with below average heights to the north of us, above average heights to west-southwest. That's flat westerly. Driest conditions with that in the south, most of the conditions in the north, and generally a bit on the cool side. Week 3 shows that the ridge gets a bit closer to us. This is the 16th, 22nd of September. High pressure starting to build closer to us. Low pressure up to the north. Jet streams being moved north as well. That's settling things down. Probably still quite cool even then. And then week 4 looks rather bizarre. This is the 23rd to 29th of September. We do have a bit of a ridge extending through the UK, but the main thing is that it looks like we're seeing a re-emergence of northern blocking there, with all of the high pressure seemingly going north up to Greenland, Svalbard, that sort of area. So although it is still showing a ridge extending down into the UK, you will probably start to have to think about low pressure beginning to form underneath that blocking. Nevertheless, high pressure in control there in week 4. Temperature anomalies in the week ahead, the 2nd to 8th of September, below average. It's a very cool week coming up. And only average, still probably a bit below average, I would have thought, into week 2, 9th to 15th of September. Most parts of Europe look cooler than average there. Week 3 is the 16th, 22nd of September. That is close to average. Goes warmer than average in week 4 finally, so it takes a while, but we do go warmer than average into week 4. Again, very unsure about that with the high pressure pushing north and becoming northern blocking yet again. And then precipitation, week ahead, 6th to the 8th September. Wetter than average for the north, dry than average in the southwest. Week 2, the 9th to 15th of September. Again, wetter than average across northern parts of the country, dry than average down in the southwest. Week 3, precipitation as the ridge builds in and strengthens, that goes drier than average. And then week 4 is close to average. It could be turning more unsettled, really, as that high pressure is becoming a northern blocking area of high pressure around Greenland. So it's cool and changeable first half to September by the look of it. Most of the rain looks like it'll be in the north. There probably won't be all that much down in the south, but all of us will have at least a little bit of showery weather at times, and overall just a rather autumnal feel. Where we go into the second half of September, a lot of uncertainty there. CFS is hinting at a re-emergence of northern blocking, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Right, that's your videos for today. Tomorrow we'll have the September month-end forecast. We will also have the ECMWF 30-day look at as well tomorrow. And, of course, we'll have a regular week to 10-day video update too. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.